Welcome to High Drama. How did the plays leave us this time around? Anne Marilyn Lucas's Art of Leaving felt like a bad sitcom from the 70s. Aaron is going through a midlife crisis and is obsessed with the doctor's book, Male Satisfaction Over 40. He refers to it religiously for all aspects of his life. His poor wife, Diana, does everything to try and make him happy. She's an accomplished woman who has many opportunities to be promoted, but she always puts her husband first above her own needs. Aaron has invited his parents and his son Jason with his fiancee Caitlin over to surprisingly announce that he wants to divorce Diana because the book told him to. Pandemonium breaks out. Will Diana pull a Nora or stay with this overbearing mama's boys? The actors do the best they can with such flimsy material, but they are so cartoonish and over the top, it was very difficult to find myself caring at all about these people. While I wanted to know the art of leaving the show, the audience was having the time of their lives and howling with laughter. So unhappy for me, but for the audience, I will give it a happy face.
Currently playing at the Music Box Theater is Yasmina Reza's award-winning play, Art, starring Bobby Cannavale, James Corden, and Neil Patrick Harris as a trio of longtime friends who find themselves falling out over a very expensive piece of artwork purchased by the Neil Patrick Harris character. He's a doctor of some sort, and you can tell by the clothes he wears and the settings that the play takes place in that he's got a lot of money. So he invites his buddies over thinking that they're going to love this thing as much as he does, only to find that the Bobby Cannavale character despises it and has no hesitation in telling him that, whereas the James Corden character, who's obviously the sort of bridge between the two, you don't really know until the very end how he feels about it, but he's trying desperately to make the peace between these two warring longtime pals. I never knew James Corden as anything other than a late-night TV host, so I was really stunned by how funny he is. I mean, he reminds me very much of a Harpo Marx who speaks because of his mugging, and he makes these gestures, and he's hilarious. He, for me, was the high point of the play. So you have these guys butting heads, and the whole play is about them fighting. And you wind up wondering, why are they friends? Why are they friends with James Corden? Because he's schlubby, he's overweight, he's not Natalie dressed, but he's got a good heart. The other two, they're a little spikier, and you can tell that he's the glue that really holds their relationship together. My late husband was an art journalist, and we had many of these discussions where we would go look at what he considered art and I would consider a scam. So this play really resonated with me, but it was very funny. I mean, at one point, Corden goes on this sustained rant that had the audience screaming with laughter, and he got a very sustained round of applause at the end of it. But it's really worth seeing. It's playing through December 21st. It's well acted. The lighting is great. It's not, you don't have a lot of moving lights, flashing things. The setting is subdued. All of the action is basically on this piece of art and these three men and the unraveling of their relationship, or does it? So I recommend this highly. You should go see it.
I know James Corden from stage more than I do from television. So for me, I know how funny he is because he did One Man, Two Governors, which is Alfie and R's second favorite, funniest show ever. I mean, he just stopped the show every time we were laughing so hard. So no, and he's also good at drama too, because he was in the History Boys where we first saw him when he was a very young man. So no, James Corden has theater chops, just like Neil Patrick Harris and Bobby Cannavale. But I love this play. This is like the third rendition of it I've seen, because I've seen it in England, I've seen it in here, I've seen the revive, I've seen this a lot. But every time I see it, it gets better and better. It ages well, because especially with what's going on right now, where it's like if you voice your opinion, you could get eviscerated. I mean, your opinion is no longer just like, oh, okay, I accept your opinion, let's move on. Now it's cause for hatred and wars and fighting and friendship losing, and it's crazy. So this is actually extremely timely right now. And yes, There is this thing that James Corden does at the end that's going to get him the Tony Award. I'm telling you right now, it's like someone belting out an incredible song with a note that goes on forever. It was that brilliant. So, yes, you got three of the best actors in this very timely play. And I mean, and I think you're all going to agree with his friends. That art is SHIT. I'm giving this a happy face.
I can't recommend art highly enough, and I give it a big happy face.
Raji Joseph, who currently has gruesome playground injuries going on, now also has another play, Archduke, which is a very funny look at the historical events that led up to Archduke's assassination in Sarajevo that started World War I. Gavrilo and Nadetko have been recruited by Apis for the promise of the best sandwich in town if they will carry out his mission. Trifko is already carrying out Apis' order to bring these callow youths to do his bidding. Apis literally wines and dines them with his housekeeper Sladjana's incredible cooking. The plan is to provide these young men with money and a gun to assassinate the Archduke, who is the source of all their downtrodden, sandwichless lives. Trifko will oversee them. Will they be able to accomplish this patriotic act, or is the lure of women and sandwiches more important? Rajiv Joseph has this delicious way of putting ordinary people in historical context like he did in Guards of the Taj. The acting was spectacular and they were so appealing. I just love this play and everything about it. Major happy face.
Currently playing at 59 East 59th Street Theaters is yet another wonderful production. This is Alex Lin's Laowang, A Chinese King Lear, which is roughly based on the play of the same name by the Bard. It's about a Chinese woman who has three battling grandchildren who, thinking that they're going to get a share of her inheritance, they play against each other. They try to like stab each other in the backs. And they're all played against each other by this cunning real estate developer who wants the building that this woman's restaurant was in. It's really cleverly written. It goes off on some strange tangents that I did not initially understand, but that wound up getting wrapped up at the end of the play. The music is good. The set, which uses old 1950s Hong Kong graphics, is fabulous. The acting is sharp and on point, and I gave it a happy face. And there'll be more information about it on Facebook and from Eva.
At 59E 59 Theater is Peggy Stafford's Everything is Here, which focuses on three friends in a retirement community who complain of their aches and pains and take a theater activity class where the teacher Grant uses them to reenact Streetcar Named Desire to help him get the part of Mitch. The nurse has a crush on Grant. We learn bits and pieces of the three friends. Very weird but enjoyable. It ends rather abruptly, though, but it has this incredible cast of Jan Leslie Harding, Mia Caddickback, Susanna Melanzi, Petronia Paley, and Pete Simpson. The talkback afterwards, audience members expressed what we all felt, that we really didn't get the play, but it still kept our interest. I'm giving this a happy face minus.
The Faggots and Their Friends Between Revolutions, currently playing at the Park Avenue Armory, adapted for the stage by Ted Huffman, music by Philip Venables, is from Larry Mitchell and Ned Asta's original 1977 book.
I love this, and it's very operatic, and normally I don't like operatic things, but the story was like fascinating. Basically, the faggots are living quite happily and peacefully and enjoying, fucking and all sorts of things, and then the men come and destroy everything, because the men love to destroy things and accumulate things, and they destroy all this utopia of the faggots and try to turn them into the men, and this is basically how they, they turn into men, but then they take over themselves again, become faggots again, and life is good until the men come and ruin everything, not just for the faggots, but for the women and the women who love women and anyone who isn't the men.
I love your energy in describing that. So Venables and Huffman didn't just adapt this 1977 queer classic, they transformed transformed it into a full-blown theatrical cosmos. Opera, dance, ritual, storytelling, comedy, and political theater all woven together. 15 different performers rotate between instruments, voices, and movement, creating a living, breathing celebration of queer history and myth. The stage is never still, the energy is kinetic. Revolutions unfold before your eyes, humorous, brutal, triumphant, and the word faggot is reclaimed with tenderness, solidarity, and lineage. Dance becomes language, music becomes magic, and the audience is swept up in every movement. This is queer theater at its boldest, messiest, and most alive. You'll laugh, sing, tear up, completely lose yourself more than once.
Yes, well, not just about the queer theater, because quite frankly, this actually resonates with anyone who's ever been the other. So in my case, being Jewish, we end up in a place, they come and say, we don't want you here, and they slaughter us and drive us away. And then we find another place where they say, oh, come in, and then somebody else takes over, another king or whatever, and then they slaughter us and drive us away. So basically, I was really relating to this. Plus also they threw in, all the things that happen to women. And quite frankly, there is a theme in theater this season about the patriarchy and how they're pushing down the women and everyone else. I mean, the women are finally, doing the Nora and going out the door. But these men are just all bullies. And it's just like, and then we get to do a sing along with, I think her name was Kit Green. I think she was like the blonde haired one. The trouble is I didn't know who was who, but this one guy, he had this like, I don't mean this, I hope this doesn't sound derogatory, but he had that gorgeous Venetian eunuch court voice that was just as beautiful that they used to have, with the opera and everything. And I hate opera, like I said, because I don't like the sound they make, that it puts me to sleep. But here I was just it was so mesmerizing, and they were just drawing us in. And I just and being at the Park Armory, which makes you feel so tiny to begin with, because it's so huge. It was a perfect place for this. So really, I can't recommend this enough. I mean, I love this. So this gets a big happy face for me.
I absolutely loved it too. And like you said, the Park Avenue Armory I was breathless when I walked in. So with the show being the way it was, being in the Park Avenue Armory, it was the perfect setting, and it's a huge happy face plus from me.
At second stage is Taylene Monahan's Meet the Cartozians, which is an interesting historical play about United States versus Tatos Cartozian that took place in 1924. I had never even heard of this case. Tatos Cartozian was a successful rug dealer in Portland, Oregon. His brother got naturalized, but Tatos was denied citizenship. It was very important for him to win this case for himself and all Armenians, as they had no country to go back to, as it had been completely annihilated, probably the first real genocide to take place. Tatos hired Wallace to defend him. Tatos' daughter Hazel, who spoke excellent English, acted as interpreter. His son Vahan tried to be helpful with suggestions, and he really wanted to be a part of the defense, but he was considered to be detrimental. Tatos' mother benignly looked on, making sure everyone got fed. While the lawyers were trying to prove that the Armenians were considered white and they were eligible to become citizens, as the Constitution said that only free white males were allowed to enter America. This excludes Africans, Indians, Asians, and Jews who were considered Middle Eastern and swarthy. Plus, it helped that they weren't Muslim, but good old Christians. And you can imagine this hit home by today's standards, which is why it was so clever to have the second act 100 years later in 2024. A group of Armenians have met at a television studio to meet the most famous Armenian on the planet to discuss their Armenian heritage. Temples flare as they argue over what race they are considered amongst themselves, as Leslie, who is quite the activist, has been arguing to include an Armenian subcategory in the new MENA, Middle Eastern North African classification in the 2030 census. This is such a contrast to the first act where they were arguing to be thought white. It illustrates the importance of being able to belong where you can be accepted and respected. But where is that in America, and in what century? The acting was terrific. You are definitely going to want to meet the Cartozians, again with the major happy face.
In Isa and Riley's A Bodega Princess Remembers La Fiesta de los Reyes Magos 1998 is now playing at the Ensemble Studio Theater. It's the holiday surprise that completely swept me off my feet. Every year there's that one show you walk into with mild curiosity and walk out of glowing like a human Christmas tree, and this is the one. Riley begins by bringing us into the world of Three Kings Day, a cherished tradition across Hispanic, Latinx, and Italian communities here in the United States, across Latin America, the Caribbean, and Europe. And the moment she steps on stage, the room shifts. It feels less like a performance and more like being welcomed into someone's memory, the kind told with a warm drink in your hands and a twinkle of nostalgia in the air. She drops us right into her 1998 celebration. Merengue in tiny cafeterias, neighbors who feel like family, and those perfect little details that make the past feel present. The laughter comes easily, and then she hits us with a simple, powerful question. If you had to leave everything behind, what would you fit in one bag? Riley transforms effortlessly into a chorus of relatives and community voices, each full of humor, affection, and honesty. And the 90s flavored lighting and sound design wrap the whole piece in a glow of cultural memory. Bodega Princess isn't just funny or heartwarming, it's a love letter, a cultural keepsake, and a reminder that the memories we carry shape who we become. It's the kind of holiday storytelling that leaves you fuller, warmer, and ready to dance the Macarena in your kitchen. I give this one woman show a big happy face.
For epic players, Dave Osmundson's Bum Bum or This Farce Has Autism is about autistic performers causing chaos at a live telethon as they fight to be themselves against the odds. Singing and hearing autistic greatness, also known as Sahag or Shag, is trying to raise funds with a telethon hosted by the singing sensation Rena, who has fallen in popularity due to an unfortunate wardrobe malfunction. Her dressing isn't the issue, but the way she undresses everyone down around her while putting on a phony smile. Her assistant Jeff is just as obnoxious as she is. Lisa is all excited to meet her idol Rena. She is hoping if she does her bum bum dance, she will become one of Rena's backup dancers. Her mother Susan squashes that idea, and Lisa should stick to her charming ballet number. Katie, who is running the telethon, is trying to get her brother Sean, who has a large YouTube following for his fucking autistic. Now he has to change it to dating autistic to clean it up for national television. Well, he says, fuck that, it's not funny, and he is a comic. Jason is a nice guy who has to talk through this device, but he's able to speak out loud with his ventriloquist act and his dummy, the Irish speaking Gil. Will the performers get to put on the show they want, or do they have to buckle under the neurotypical's view of them? This was my kind of play with clear-cut villains and rooting for the good guys. The acting was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it didn't bum me out at all. Happy Face Plus.
In Scott Organ's Diversion, a group of ICU nurses, 3 old hands plus 1 young, very green newcomer, are managing their demanding day-to-day when some narcotics go missing. Corporate sends a rep to watch their comings and goings, and the nurses simultaneously protect and suspect each other. Pay close attention to the hyper-realistic set representing the nurses' break room by Edward T. Morris. It's a typical staff lounge, but your eye will catch a new and delightful and thoughtful detail everywhere you look. Diversion itself is like this set. The missing med story is a familiar staple of medical dramas, but the ensemble-driven plot takes us through more touching interactions and riveting revelations than we would have thought possible in 90 minutes. Diversion refers to the pilfering of hospital drugs by staff. In terms of getting any diversion from their grueling profession, these nurses are limited to rushing in and out of the break room for coffee and microwavable meals. In the conversations they manage to have, we learn about injuries, bad days during the height of COVID, and the nurses hear a secret or make a discovery We are right there with these skilled actors, running out of breath or weeping, feeling how hard it can be to spit out the words or hold our emotions in check when we finally tell the truth. I would change nothing except the end, which felt like a penultimate moment instead of the real final scene. I wanted just a little more of everything and everyone. Big happy face.
Heinrich Ibsen's Hedda Gabler, currently playing at Yale Repertory Theater in New Haven, Connecticut through December 20th, tells the story of Hedda, the recently married daughter of a general, returning from her honeymoon to a home she doesn't want and a husband she doesn't love. Johann Tessman, her anxious scholar husband, is more focused on his work than on her. Hedda's former flame, the brilliant and magnetic Abert Lovegood, reappears, stirring old passions and new tensions. Judge Brock, a family friend, quietly schemes to gain influence over her, while Thea Elstead, Loveborg's devoted former partner, becomes an unwitting pawn in Hedda's games. Yale Rep's production brings all of this to life with incredible detail. The set, the costumes, the lighting. Mariana Gayas is mesmerizing as Hedda, moving from icy detachment to sly manipulation with surgical precision. James Udom's Loveborg is brilliant, volatile, and strikingly handsome, while Max Gordon Moore's Johann conveys nervous earnestness perfectly. The tension builds gradually, leading to moments that are shocking, funny, and deeply tragic. By the end, what begins as a domestic drama becomes a tightly wound psychological thriller, and Galis carries it all with chilling clarity. It's elegant, unsettling, and utterly unforgettable. I give this one a big happy face.
Jeffrey Sharp's Reunions, with music by Jimmy Callire, takes two short stories, The 12-Pound Look, adapted from the play by James M. Barrie, and Quintero Brothers' play A Sunny Morning, and turns them into a fine musical about unexpected reunions. The 12-Pound Look has the Sims household staff all aflutter as Harry Sims will be knighted and his wife will now be a lady. All the excitement gets disrupted when the typist arrives to type out a reply to all the congratulatory messages. Harry is very satisfied with himself, but does his wife feel the same way? Another husband bully. For A Sunny Morning, we have Donna Laura enjoying a sunny day in Spain when she is interrupted by the very, very rude Don Gonzalo, who complains to his put-upon servant that someone has the audacity to sit on his private bench in a public park. He is forced to sit with Donna Laura. After he exchanges unpleasantries with her, she finally softens him up to have a real conversation about themselves, where they discover they have more in common than either realize. Will this sunny day bring a new day for both of them? Both of the stories were so charming and handled masterfully by the same cast appearing as different characters in both acts. Jen Carprio's costumes were so stunning that I wanted to rip it off and attend a knighting event myself. Edward Pierce's sets were quite clever as he turned an upper-class home into a bucolic park. J. Jared Janis created intricately coiffed wigs that were perfect for the times and situations of the characters. Everything about this show is just so lovely. Major happy face.
I'm reviewing The Seat of Our Pants, adapted by Ethan Lipton, based on The Skin of Our Teeth by Thornton Wilder. A family survives many apocalyptic events through the centuries with their sometimes disgruntled maid. An inventive dad discovered the alphabet and the wheel. Mom overly cares for her family with a daughter who must be perfect to mollify the dad, and the son has rage issues. Are you looking for a laugh as our world goes in strange directions? This warm, self-aware production under the direction of Leigh Silverman should do the trick. The public theater set, designed by Lee Jelinek, is surrounded on two sides by the audience and on the other two sides by the orchestra. We are looking into the Excelsior, New Jersey home of the Antrobus family. The father and mother are already thousands of years old and very involved in the progress of the human race. I don't want to give away too much here. Even if you've encountered Wilder's memorable 1942 play, this joyous new adaptation will explode into your consciousness the way everyone outside the Antrobus family wants to rush inside for warmth. A new ice age is coming, you see. Will Mr. Antrobus come up with a good way to save humanity? He seems to have done so before. You will see human refugees huddling by the fire and some non-human characters too. They are all wearing gorgeous costumes courtesy of K. Voice.
Yes, the music was incredibly catchy, and it was such a delightful cast with Andy Grotlishan doing like a narrator kind of thing. Skylar Hensley was Mr. Antrobus, Ruthie Ann Miles was Mrs. Antrobus, Michaela Diamond was the maid, Damon Damano was Henry, the bad son, and Amina Faye was the daughter. And it was just, I love this so much. And I strongly recommend it, and I give this a delighted happy face.
I also give it a very big happy face.
Next show is December 27th, so I hope you had a great Hanukkah and Christmas. We will talk about these shows closing December 28th. Circus Oz at the New Victory, which is the best circus in town, Gruesome Playground Injuries at the Lotel with Cara Young, and Gotta Dance with American Dance Machine at the York. Closing December 14th is Sleepover at Tada and Winter Rhythms at Urban Stages. Closing December 19th is The Queer Without a Santa Claus at the Laurie Beachman. Closing December 20th, Colt Kurz, the surgeon, and his daughter at 154 Christopher Street, one of my favorite companies. Closing December 21st, The Baker's Wife at CSC, Classic Stage Company. The Slide is Negative at the Chain, and at La Mama is From the Other Side, reimagining theater from the Balkans, going on until December 14th. Oklahoma Samovar closing December 21st. Protest Song closing December 21st, and Christmas in Nikkiland, December 21st through 23rd, always fun. And at ART, we've got If We Kiss going on till December 20th, and The American Soldier till December 21st. And at 54 Below is the place to be. The 15th Annual Joe Iconis Christmas Extravaganza, December 13th and 14th. 54 celebrates Hanukkah, a festival of writers, December 15th. Norm Lewis Christmas Lives Here, December 18th through 24th. And Scott Siegel's 54 Sings Broadway's Greatest Hits, going on December 20th and 26th and beyond. Some special events. The Love Show New York City presents A Cornmeal Christmas in the Speakeasy Ski Chalet at the Hidden Jewel Box Theater on December 14th at 7 o'clock. And First Flight Theater Company presents a 137th birthday celebration of Maxwell Anderson on Monday, December 15th at 7 p.m. at the Tank. And Jessica Voss, that powerhouse, December 21st at 2 p.m. at the 92 NY. Lots more going on. Just check it out and see our reviews that we're going to talk about on our Facebook page.